Hi, this is John Tompkins, the Defender from Indianapolis, Indiana, answering some more of your questions about criminal defense and the criminal justice system. Today we got a question about bond, and this is a question we get really literally almost every day. What is bond? What are release conditions? What is pretrial supervision? And these questions occur both in state and federal court, and they're critically important because one, you need to know what bond is, how much money you have to pay, where you go to pay it in order to get a person or yourself out of jail. And not knowing these things in advance is going to end up in maybe extra days or even a week behind bars that you don't have to be there. So, what are the types of bonds that a judge can order? There are surety bonds, personal recognizance bonds, and cash bonds. So what are all three of those? A surety bond, you will need a bondsman to post for you. You get into a contract with a bondsman. He provides 8 or 10% of the bond. So for example, if it is a $10,000 surety bond, that bondsman will charge you $800 or $1,000, 8 or 10%, and he will post the remainder of that with the clerk's office as an insurance policy that whoever you're posting that bond for will show up, and a promise that if that person doesn't show up, the bondsman will go out and recover that person and bring them back and present them to court. So that's a surety bond. You pay a percentage, 8 or 10%. The bondsman puts the rest up, and the bondsman has to bring the person to court if they try to abscond. Then there's personal recognizance. Let's use that same $10,000 figure. A personal recognizance bond is, again, 10%, but it goes to the clerk and you have to post it yourself. So that $10,000 bond, you don't give the $1,000 bond to the bondsman, you give it to the clerk's office. At the end of the case, if you're acquitted or released or the case is dismissed, that money is returned to you minus an administrative fee that the clerk may charge. But that's your money and you keep it, as opposed to the surety bond where the bondsman is the one who keeps the 8 or 10% as their fee. So that's surety, personal recognizance. Finally, there is just a straight cash bond. And if we use that same $10,000 example, that would mean post $10,000 with the clerk's office, not a percentage, the full $10,000. And once again, you will get that back at the end of the case, and it will just be sent to the person who posted it. All of it minus a small administrative fee. So that is personal recognizance, cash bond, and surety bond. There are, of course, release on own recognizance. Release on own recognizance simply means you don't have to post anything. We're going to trust you to show up. So everybody wants an OR, own recognizance. That's obviously the easiest. There are also release conditions. So a court might release you to GPS monitoring. Frequently, if there's a victim in the case or witnesses that you might be around, they'll order GPS monitoring and tell you there are certain areas you can't go because you might be interfering with a witness, or there might be a victim who lives or works in that area and you just stay away. And they use GPS to make sure you don't go in those areas. The next step up for pretrial release would be pretrial home detention, and that is basically GPS monitoring with a very hard and firm curfew. So if you are not at work or at an approved activity, then you have to be at your place of residence, the residence that you provide to your case manager. So you would weekly turn in a schedule and tell them where you're going to be during the week, doctor's appointments, court dates, attorney appointments, work, school, training, childcare, numerous things, but you have to stick to that schedule. Once you submit it, unless you have an emergency like a broken leg or a car accident or a flat tire, you must stick to that schedule. And if you don't, you will go back into custody until you can explain to the judge why you didn't stick to the schedule that you submitted. And if your explanation isn't good, you'll stay in jail. They'll revoke that placement. Same is true for GPS monitoring. If you go into the places you're not supposed to go, then And I don't mean just passing through. So you drive through an area that you're not supposed to be, but you never stop and you never pull up in front of somebody's house. You're just driving through that neighborhood. If you repeatedly go places you're not supposed to go, or go one place one time and stay there a significant amount of time and confront somebody you're not supposed to talk to, then you're going back into jail until you can explain why you're doing that. And without a good explanation, you could stay in jail. So that is bond, pretrial release, and I think that should cover this whole topic. You may have more questions. If I didn't answer them all, sorry. Just send them in, and I'll try to answer them in one of the next videos. Thanks again. This is John Tompkins, the Defender in Indianapolis, Indiana.